Hello, my name is LogansStory. Welcome to LogansStory. Today we're talking about the Eternals. This next Marvel Cinematic Worldview Commentary. Thank you for coming. Let's get into it. So, celestial beings coming from an outer space region. And that being said, the outer space region is where most of the power and source comes from in terms of everything that we know. And due to that, there seems to be something that's beautiful and definitely with something that's horrendous. And that being said, there's no clear signing point of who's right and who's wrong. And that's what the problem is in Eternals. The problem of who's right and who's wrong. Were these Eternals really sent to protect us from everything that we are? Or to protect us from the deviants entirely? And with that being said, what's the overall goal of the Celestials? For themselves, I mean, these are people who are exceptional beings, but they have trouble trying to figure out why their purpose is in the world they live in, especially when it's on Earth. But that means something that is tied to something that's interesting, and nonetheless something that's relatively bounded by a sense of interest. I mean, a guy who can shoot lasers out of his eyes, a girl that can shape things in terms of what she wants, the power of blast coming out of another one that can big control the mind by simply doing so. All these people, all these celestial beings, are ingrained in what we call exceptionalism. Some use it for right things, some use it for wrong things. But that's the overall thing. What are you doing to show your exceptionalism through the lens of the human world? If you're exceptional, what's your power? And how can you use that power to protect people? And what does this have to do in terms of the little crannies that make it into the source of the world? Well, let's go into detail. Alright, so this is a great kind of node to take into consideration, because the exceptionalism of every single being on this earth is not necessarily the same as something that's meant and created to be exceptional. And that being so, there's no sense of saying what is right and what is wrong, unless you talk about the morality in between the two. Is there a moral doing right? Is there an immoral doing wrong? And how can we figure that out by just being humans? I mean, we've been in war since the beginning of time. And so to protect one another, we decide to kind of hurt one another in some case, in some way. And this is confusing to the Eternals because, well, they're sent there to protect people. But when people turn against people, what happens? When Eternal turns against Eternal, what happens? When Deviant turns against Deviant, what happens? That's the thing about this movie that keeps people on their toes. What happens when some of those things are turning against each other and killing each other in the making? What is the responsibility of the Eternals? Just to protect them from deviants? Or to protect them from danger? There's a difference. And it all ends up in the same thing. So the thing about the deviants is their power withdraws as the Eternals grow and grow. But over time, they start to figure things out and delves into the epitome of what the world has to offer to such being. Whether you're responsible or whether you are simply exceptional in terms of that responsibility. See, all these heroes that we talk about in Marvel are exceptional human beings. But what ties them away from the rest of the world? Because having a PhD is pretty exceptional. Having an MD is pretty exceptional. Being an artist is pretty exceptional. Making these videos that everyone makes on this platform is pretty exceptional. But the exceptional thing about these people, the Eternals, is their ability to use their powers for the good. And that's what I mean. What does it mean to use your powers and your gifts for the good? And not turn against each other when it comes to teamwork? Well, application of course. Okay, so what makes you exceptional? What makes you special? What is your job? What is your career? What is your gift? What is your talent? And how are you using that to help your community? See, if you're exceptional, there's only one thing to do. Find a team of exceptional people and make things happen in the world that no one has ever thought about in years. Make something exceptional that no one has ever thought about in decades. Make something exceptional and be the exceptional progress of the future. Because here's the thing. If we hold together and hold hands and hold a future that's brighter than ever before, we'll realize that there's more exceptional to go around. And the gifts that people get and the talents that people have will be able to be diverse in nature. And we will get so much flourishing throughout the world than ever before. So consider that. If you're exceptional, use it for the good. And use it for what you know is right. Because what you know is right may be the benefit of the entire world. Thank you for your application. Let's continue forward. Thank you for your long story. Thank you for this Marvel Cinematic Worldview Commentary. The more commentaries in the future, so keep an eye out for those. Also, the mission is 1,000 subscribers. You guys help me get there by hitting the share, like, and subscribe button right under the screen. Also, by hitting that bell. Leave a comment if you can too. Thank you again, and peace.